Welcome back to Breakfast Central. The battle for Lagos governorship in 2027 is heating up, with several aspirants already being mentioned as potential successors to Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu. The contest is expected to be fierce, with the ruling All Progressives Congress APC seeking to maintain its grip on the state, while the opposition parties, particularly the People's Democratic Party PDP and the Labour Party LP, aim to unseat the ruling party.
Some notable names that have come up are Senator Mukhail Adetokunbo Abiru, APC, former Governor Akinwunmi Ambode, also of the APC, the current Deputy Governor, Dr. Kadiri Obafemi Hamzat, also of the APC, and also Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, Seyi Tinubu, and Labour Party's Rhodes-Vivour. To join us discussing the projections and fate of Lagos State in 2027 is the Chairman, African Democratic Congress, Lagos State, George Ashiru. Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning. How are you? It's been a while.
Yes,
compliments of the season.
Compliments of the season to you as well. Let's, kick off by talking about, some of these names that have been called, all of them, pretty much very familiar to Nigerians and, of course, Lagos State residents. Is it too early, from your perspective, to even be talking about elections in 2027?
No, we're already in 2025, and naturally, politically, you have to start hedging your bets. You have to start thinking of who will be the next leader of the various states, and of course, the federal government, because primaries will hold in 2026, which is a year from next few days. And in each of the various parties, the various primaries will start from the local government congresses and go all the way to state congresses. And then that's where you begin to see where the chances and opportunities are for both the parties and the individuals that are showing interest. So it's not abnormal. And of course, the ruling party is presumed to have the advantage. And so people are already looking at Sanwo-Olu is going to have finished his 8 years. So he's not coming back. So clearly, it is now, you have what we call lame duck governorship, which means, look, you are no longer going to be relevant 9 months down the line because somebody else is going to take over. And so it's natural for people to start speculating. However, speculating could go horribly wrong, as we found out in the case of Ambode, which means parties have other candidates. And they're right now, some people really, truly want change. And so at every level, including even the ruling party, having to worry about whether or not it can retain this very seat that they're talking about.
Okay, let's now talk about Dr. Kadiri Obafemi Hamzat, who's the current deputy governor of the state. We've seen situations in several other states where the deputy governor then aspires to be governor, but in some cases, and in a number of cases, have unfortunately failed. The most recent being in Edo State, where we saw Philip Shaibu, and that had caused some sort of issues between him and the then governor of the state. Dr. Kadiri Obafemi Hamzat, this will not be, if he does run, this won't be his first time. He's a former governorship candidate. Do you see him running? And if you do you think that there are strong chances for him in the Lagos State governorship?
Dr. Hamzat, I had the opportunity of meeting him. He's a good gentleman. I'm sure very qualified from the point of view of the party that he represents. However, the history of Lagos State is that no deputy governor has ever become governor while after they were in seat as deputy governor. I think the challenge is people look at it that, look, you've served 8 years in that high seat of power. That's just it. You've got to go. That's the best we can give you. So I don't think the ruling party is necessarily going to say it's a step up, to spend another 8 years, in that seat, in that gubernatorial seat, whether as governor or deputy governor. So we have to look at statistics. Statistics doesn't favor him being, a person of choice. I think there will be resistance within the party. They always want somebody new, somebody different, somebody. And Nigerians and Lagosians might want somebody from a completely different party. We've got 25 years of this. We want change. And so that's something we should also consider.
Yeah, there's an aspect of this conversation that I think is important, and that is that for the longest time, it doesn't feel like the decision as to who takes over Lagos State is born out of, actual politicking, and of course, what the people of Lagos State truly want. It feels like it is born out of who would best protect the interest of a certain group of people. And so how much of that do you think is still going to play a role in deciding who, runs for election in 2027? Or are we going to have a change? Is there a possibility that maybe the thinking will be different this time?
That will not change at every level, from the presidency down to the local government councillors. There will always be godfathers in the party system. There will always be powers that be. There will always be ex-governors, ex-presidents, and people that have the money that want to impose upon the electorate those that they think will carry out their own particular agendas, not necessarily what the people want. If the people are fortunate that the individuals selected, I said, if they are unfortunate that they are good leaders and transformational individuals, we get some results. In 80% to 90% of the cases, the history of Nigeria has shown us that accidental leaders produce accidental results. It has shown us that unprepared leaders produce chaos. It has shown us that corruption is easy when people who don't have vision take charge of our various commonwealth. So I think what I hope is that as our democracy is getting deeper and it's getting longer, people are now understanding how democracy works and know that it's actually their democracy and it's how it works. So even if someone tries to impose candidates on ruling parties, you have options. Like we saw in Abia, people voted one particular party one way, and when local government elections, they went to another party. You can see what's going on in Rivers. We're like, no, we're not listening to anyone telling us what to do. We're going to run our own case. So I think it's possible that Nigerians can just wake up and say, no, we don't want Godfather. We just want to be able to choose. And if you don't give us the option in your party, we'll go to another party. It's as simple as that.
Okay, let's talk about, you've talked about the fact that there will still be godfathers. The major father of the nation right now, of course, is President Bola Tinubu, and there have been rumors, I would call them rumors for now, about his son being tipped for Lagos State governorship. And there's an organization, they call themselves the Coalition of Nigerian Youth Leaders. It's a body comprising of groups from across the 6 geopolitical zones. They have endorsed Seyi Tinubu for governorship of Lagos State, and they announced this after an extensive meeting in Owerri. What are the chances, first of all, of Seyi Tinubu actually running for office in Lagos State, or do you just think this is all a joke?
There's political kites. I don't think, even if the idea is for him to run for office, I think the kite is not for him to run in 2027. I think it's to test the waters to see whether or not he will be able to run in 2031. He's young. He's still got 20, 30 years ahead of him if he had to use his father's age. So he could still be someone who could be both financially and he will have governorship, gubernatorial, and governance experience, having moved around in Aso Rock and at the state villa. So that could be a future. But in 2027, if he runs, he will lose. He will lose because, and right not there at the so it's a referendum of his own father. He's going to face opposition.
Okay, we seem to be having a challenge with the connection with George Ashiru this morning, but we're mostly centered around the conversation on the recent discussions concerning Lagos State governorship. As 2027 fast approaches, as we are pretty much familiar with, the final 2 years really is when the politicking starts, for the next election.
Right.
Of course, and heats up, very, very much in the last year before the election. So,
and all the speculations of who will run and who wouldn't run, of course, it's not surprising that they've started. For example, in the Seyi Tinubu situation, whilst we have these youths who have endorsed him and friends of Seyi Tinubu, I think they call them firsts, who have also endorsed him. Joe Ibukwe has come out in to say that this is a ploy to distract or to bring down President Bola Tinubu, that the faceless people who are pushing the agenda of Seyi Tinubu for governor are, of course, doing this to bring down President Bola Tinubu. But we would explore more options. I believe that we have Mr. George Ashiru back.
Yes, sorry about that network issue here.
Okay.
So, I mean, I can continue with what I said.
Yes,
I think
please.
essentially that Nigerians are not ready for that kind of ghost-to-ghost hookup. You know, you just kind of like create a dynasty. Nigerians are not ready. I think Lagosians, more importantly, are not ready. The last election showed how dangerous it is when the current president lost the presidential election in Lagos State. That is a referendum on you. And now if you try to impose your son one way or the other, that could be very disastrous for your own presidential election. So people might say, okay, well, since you know you are putting your son forward, then perhaps one of you has to go. One of you needs to go. So I would seriously advise that if President Tinubu happens to win re-election, and then he does well over a period of 8 years, that could then help the son in the future. But I think in the middle of when Nigerians are really suffering, people are going to see it as a double whammy. You are punching us with your policies, and then you are not imposing your genetic inheritance and legacy so that it becomes cemented, in our next generation. So I dare say, as a member of the opposition party, that I don't think it will work. And I think it's a good campaign opportunity for the opposition. I think strong opposition will definitely use it as a campaign fodder and say, okay, you guys, this is what you really want. Is this your future? And people are going to rebel.
Right.
So it's something that should be thought through.
Okay, the APC governorship in Lagos State have already distanced themselves from it. Joe Igbokwe has criticized it and said it's just a ploy to bring down President Bola Tinubu and it's a distraction of some sort. But let's talk about the former governor of Lagos State, who surprisingly served one term, former Governor Akinwunmi Ambode. There also have been some speculations about the potential of him coming back. He was applauded for his first term in office and the development that he brought to Lagos State, which was why it was very surprising that he wasn't allowed to run for his second term, or he wasn't given the mandate for a second term. Do you see that being a conversation that will be revisited in 2027?
One of the things that people need to know about Lagos is that Lagos is very sophisticated. And people like to move on. People that don't always like to go back to the past. I don't think that Mr. Ambode is what the APC would want. Because I keep saying the same thing. The reason for which you rejected it, you have given it as a campaign material for your opposition. Why did you reject him in the first place? And now you want to impose him back on us. I think it would be better for Mr. Ambode to actually go to another party. That's just my opinion. He would do well, then he can campaign clearly and say, look, I have ideas and I know what I want to do, but the party did not want me to carry it out. But to stay within the party after the embarrassment he went through, and then now say, okay, let me try. And the same party now says, okay, let us now impose him back again on the people. These are things that I think good and ambitious politicians should think through before they make decisions whether they want to run based on history. But I do think that he's a good gentleman, and I think that as an individual, that is. And I think that he had his own style of governance, but I don't think he's a party person. I don't think he played the role in the party that the party wanted, which is why the party primaried him out. So if they decide now, that means they've run out of candidates. If they are still recycling people within that party, that means they've run out of good quality candidates from within the party, and that's not a good thing for them. By now, there should be a leadership track. There should be a lot of people that we can see or hear about. But there's one thing I've noticed about the ruling parties, that they keep recycling the same old people. It's either they were former commissioners, or they were former this, or former that, Look at the change Americans wanted when they wanted Trump. They wanted to move completely out of line to something completely and utterly unpredictable, something different. That's what the world is looking for right now. Utterly different type of leadership, a different style completely and utterly. And so I'm hoping that the opposition will give a serious opposition this time around. As you mentioned Rhodes-Vivour, and of course you know that in ADC at that time we had Funsho Dowatis, and these people are still waiting in the wings in whichever party provides them an opportunity if they are still going to run. And there will be others that will show up. It will be a surprise package this time around.
If, just like you said, that he should move, which party would you advise him to move to? Akinwunmi Ambode, of course.
He can come to ADC now. He can come to my party. He can come to any party that the vision and ideology is suitable to what he wants to achieve, as long as he's willing to help build the organization and be part of the leadership of that party. not simply looking for a ticket. You know, as long as all you are doing is acting like you need a ticket, people are going to surprise you by, like I said, you know, a few moments ago, primarily you out. You need to be, you see, the success of Bola Tinubu was because he built a movement. He didn't just, you know, go in there to use it. He built it, you know, and then, you know, and then the loyalty of the system is now his. So when he said it's my turn, it's because he can say I was a stakeholder from the beginning, and right from when I was a senator, and then I became a governor, and so on and so forth. So you don't just jump left and right because you are looking for a ticket. You really do have to be part of the movement in which you are, that gives you that opportunity. That's what I would seriously advise if he gets a chance to listen to this.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, hope we would see if things would, you know, pretty much turn out the same way they turned out in 2023 with the reactions that Lagosians had. One particular dynasty has held on to Lagos since 1999. Will that dynasty continue with hold on Lagos beyond 2027? Time will tell. But, you know, Judge Shira, and maybe you should speak on that before you go. How much longer do you think that that dynasty will hold on to Lagos? And we're speaking now inclusive of the tribal divisions that, you know, emerged during the elections, also on the strength of INEC to actually hold free, fair, and credible elections in 2027. Because these are some of the important things that decide, you know, when it comes to Lagos State. So how much longer do you think that that dynasty would hold? Do you think Lagosians in 2027 would say that they're completely tired of this, you know, same old system, same faces, same names, you know, basically just recycling the same people to rule Lagos?
You know, power is not given. It has to be taken. And, you know, when people are poor, they have a tendency not to be rational in their thoughts. So generational poverty has forced us to keep, you know, expecting that the same people will create the change that we're looking for. But there is a generation of people that are coming up every year. You know, several million young Nigerians are capable of getting their voters' cards. They now, you know, are 18 and above. In another 4 years, 5 years, if this current president retains his seat, there will be another 30 million young Nigerians who are born, and many of them are going to be capable of voting, who are at the tail end of their teenage years. And these are the social media age, and they are influenced by what they're seeing all over the world. And they might, just like they did the last election when they surprised everyone with their voting patterns, they might do the same. You see, this tribal thing that people are using up and down, people will get tired of it because suffering is universal. These divisions that are coming up, people are using different types, get tired of it. So you see, even in Northerners, you know, are talking to themselves and look, what's happening? We're voting for each other, but we're not really moving. We're not really progressing. So I think that, I seriously believe that Nigerians are producing a generation that's a bit more politically aware, and they are going to start asking for the change that they want.
All right.
And they're going to go to the polls to make it happen.
Okay.
Thank you. That's my thought.